Minimalists.
Ryan, we got a question from Simba.
Simba. Is Rob Bell still a Christian? Rob, thoughts?
140 characters. I think he would say, I wrote a 300-page book about that to answer your question.
And this literal question he answers in the book, which is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll give you a pithy answer, and then maybe we can expand on it. Labels are useful, but not as powerful as everyday actions. Doesn't it mean... Would you maybe answer that question with a question? Like, what do you mean by Christian?
2 characters. Of course.
That's the pithiest answer ever. That is all. Dude, you could tweet "of course" too, and like it would just like people would just like, I needed that today.
Especially like when
that's awesome.
The entire West Coast is on fire, and Rob just tweets, "Of course."
Of course.
Often, what presents itself as religion is actually a fairly sophisticated egoic structure, in which the ego grasps and clings to labels for a sense of safety, a sense of identity, a sense of a
Winning.
division, us against them, a false sense of security about some coming doom or judgment. So what's really interesting in the teachings of Jesus, he's constantly inviting you to the love that doesn't need to cling or grasp because it's belonged the entire time.
Yeah. So
litmus test questions, questions that have a hermeneutic of suspicion in them, which is the world is sliding off a cliff, and I think you're part of it, or it's all built, it's not built around trust.
Yeah.
It's not built around a big, buoyant sense that the whole thing is headed in some fascinating new direction.
Oh, wow. It's birthed out of mistrust or distrust in a way.
Yeah. So like hermeneutic is how you read something.
Right.
So a hermeneutic of suspicion is, and then you think about, for many people, for roughly 1,400 years in Western culture, you've had this idea of original sin, which is that which is deepest within a human is wrong, off, broken, sinful. So no wonder people end up not able to trust their own inner knowing. They've been taught that if you look far enough inside of yourself, all you'll see is evil and darkness. But what's fascinating is the actual tradition begins, Genesis 1, all human beings bear the divine image. That which is deepest within you is good.
Yeah.
Of course, we have tremendous capacities to make a mess of things. Nobody's fuzzy on this. But you can see often this hermeneutic of suspicion that reads, are you still, what are you, I need you to give me certain words so that I can feel, is rooted in a way of viewing what it means to be human, that you need labels and things to redeem you, as opposed to you've belonged the whole time.
Yeah, are you on my team or are you the enemy? Is the underlying question quite often.
So it's always funny when religious people, especially people in the Jesus tradition, their dominant energies are moving away from the very things Jesus invites us to be liberated from.
Oh.
He comes to liberate us from questions that take us in the direction we don't actually want to be going, that aren't freedom, joy, peace, nonviolence.
I love you talked about the story in your book of the farmer who like hired the workers and they showed up at different times during the day, but they all get
paid the same.
The same. And that doesn't make any sense.
You cannot divide the infinite.
And there's no punch. He doesn't, and Jesus doesn't say, and here's the punchline.
Right.
Like, he just goes on.
Right.
And there's also a story that you don't talk about in your book. It reminded me of the guy who like dropped everything when he found the pearl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and every time I read that story, I'm like, this makes no sense to me. Like, it has many different meanings. I guess I've heard it explained different ways. Yes. But ultimately, what that helped me do, that part in your book, is start to be comfortable with not understanding things. And you start off with the quantum physics, how, there's basically chaos going on, like unexplained chaos. And then there's a macro view of it of like, well, we have unexplained chaos that goes on in the world. And I think religion helps people find an answer to all that chaos.
Sure.
And helps them organize it.
Yeah, holds it together.
But the secret is, and you talk about this with, the Buddha and Jesus and all the priests and the monks, they got this smile on their face because they get it. They're like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, blessed is the one who's in on the joke.
Yeah.
Everybody shows up at different times and gets paid the same amount.